Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everyone is as excited as I am to be here this evening because we are in for a dynamic conversation with Miss April Ryan. I had a few minutes to talk with her backstage, and she is so excited to get out here and talk with all of y'all. So my name is Senator Marie Pinkney. I represent Delaware's 13th Senatorial District, and I am an avid reader, and because of that, I get to talk to April tonight. So with no further ado, it is my great pleasure to first start with a beautiful introduction from April's sorority sisters, and we will have Miss Glenda Brewington come on up.
All right. Thank you, Senator Pinkney. Thank you. Good evening. I am Glenda Brewington. I'm the president of the Wilmington, Delaware Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We are elated that we have our soror, April Ryan, in the city of Wilmington with us tonight. And on behalf of the 300 members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority in the Wilmington Alumni Chapter, we have a small gift for her, and when she comes up, we'll present it to her, because we know that there is power in our voice. And so, here it is, our Ryan. And we hope that you join the other thousands of Deltas who will be wearing this shirt on November 8th.
This is a must.
Yes. And I want to make sure that I recognize we have our resident, a Delta resident, Sarah Scantlebury White. She's our honorary member. We have a member of our National Ritual and Ceremonies Committee, Sarah Maxine Harvey. We have our Delaware State Coordinator, none other than our Sarah Tasha Butler. And we are just so elated to tell you that all the sorors of Delta in the Delaware, state of Delaware, we are so glad that you're here. There's 6 chapters, and there are a lot of us represented, so all Deltas, please stand up. All right. Yes, thank you so much. You're welcome. All right. We're back for you.
Hold on. Please vote. Seriously. Good evening. Thank you for coming out. I'm here to celebrate all of you.
Hey, April.
Hey, Senator.
Hey. So, I know you need no introduction, but I'm just going to briefly tell everyone again, we are so excited to have the April Ryan with one of the longest standing Black women White House correspondents.
Thank you.
Currently correspondent for TheGrio, Black woman, Black mother from Baltimore.
Baltimore, just down the street.
Just down the street. And an HBCU grad.
Yes, just down the street too.
Just down the street. So I know my Del State grads are real excited to have you here.
Yeah.
So I just want to jump right into it. As Auntie Tabitha Brown would say, let's get into it because this is an exciting book.
But she would have food for us too.
She would have food for us.
She would have food, some spices.
And a calming demeanor.
And yes, and some clothes from Tarjay. Yeah, well, I shouldn't be giving away, endorsements, but go ahead, of companies. But Tabitha Brown, yes, we're going to endorse her, yes.
She gets the endorsement.
Yes.
April, this book.
You got tabs.
I have tabs, y'all. So I read this book in 2 days. April, I tabbed it up, I highlighted it up, I couldn't put it down. So 2 days.
Thank you.
It would have been 1 day, but I had to go to work, so I went to sleep.
How many of you have the book? Amen. How many of you read the book?
They getting there.
All right, you go to the head. Ladies who read the book, stand up. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I celebrate you too. You get an A+ tonight. You're going to be the inspiration for the rest of the crew.
They're getting there. So let's start with the
They
beauty
get
of
the first
book.
questions tonight. They read it. All right, all right. Make sure you
Tomorrow,
have,
tomorrow.
get ready. Come to it like April Ryan comes to it in a briefing. Yes, yes.
You heard your assignment. Black women will save the world, an anthem.
Yes.
If the title doesn't snatch your soul, I don't know what does.
Snatch your soul. I love that.
I love this. So why this title and why this book?
Well, to be really honest with you, my love for Black women goes back to my mother, my late mother. The strength of my mother and how she raised me and she believed in me and she poured into me. And then, you know, to see, let's fast forward to a couple of years back, when Black women would see me, sis, I got you. I put my hand in front of the television to pray for you every time you asked a question. I have watched Black women do the unthinkable, rise above in spite of, and I marvel at us. I marvel at who we are because we are exceptional. As our soror, Shirley Rouse, said, we are an endangered species. As she sang it, receiving her Emmy, we say these words and feel these pains that no one sees us. I see you. I am you. And I felt this for years. I actually presented this to HarperCollins many years ago before COVID. Yeah, so that's telling you it was a while. Remember life before COVID?
Not really, not too much.
Life before this. I still wear this. Yeah, life before COVID. And I wanted to do it, but it wasn't the time. And they remembered. When Kamala Harris became the vice president of the United States, I got a call to say, April, I think we were on to something. I said, I was already on to it. Thank you for catching up.
Because you have the gift of foresight like Black women
I
do.
had the foresight. Then when Biden became president and he started placing people in spaces, April, it's time. I said, okay. And then the moment happened. I still get chills. That cold, snowy morning in the cross hall of the White House. This Black woman who looked like you and me, standing next to the President of the United States, who was flanked on the other side by another Black woman. I said, and to sit there, all of you have seen this, especially those of you who are wise in years, you have seen the change, the optics, but this isn't optics, this is substance. These women of pedigree who look like you and me, finally in a space to talk about us, be about us, and stand like us in these lofty perches. So, started writing, and I was praying they wouldn't cut it off by the time Ketanji, you know, because at some point, you can't write forever. You gotta put it to print at some point. I was so glad I was able to write about Ketanji Brown Jackson. It brings tears to my eyes, and I'm gonna tell you why. Look at what's happening at the U.S. Supreme Court, the rollback. She's not our savior, but her opinions will make a difference for future rulings and laws. Someone who looks like us, to speak for us, about us, for your children, your grandchildren. That's the piece for me. Also the fact that I understand our strength. And this is not a put down for any community. This is for you to understand us, to celebrate with us, because we are so communal. We bring everyone in. We celebrate, we nurture everyone. But when it comes time for us to celebrate ourselves, we off lifting the load, doing other things. This is time for us to pause, to say, I'm seen. And yes, I'm a shero. That's for every Black woman, not just those sitting in lofty perches. And one of the other reasons that compelled me to write this book, we were vilified a few years ago. Yeah, I heard one little voice over in the wind over here, and I was waiting for the rest of it to come. I was waiting for the infections of the We were vilified. Black women were vilified. Our names were vilified. Our personhood was vilified. And if you don't change that dynamic, it sticks. Maxine Waters, Frederica Wilson, Congresswoman, April Ryan, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, so many other Black women. The list went on and on. The women who stood against what was happening at the polls, remember? In that Senate hearing, they were vilified. This book was to change the narrative. Because I used Hillary Clinton as my example. She didn't fight it, and it stuck. You're not gonna stick nothing on me.
No, ma'am.
No. Called me a loser. What is it? You call me a loser, nasty.
Questions,
Stupid questions. Stop shaking your head.
Sit down.
Get the CBC together because you know all the Black people.
They need to go on ahead.
Right.
Go on ahead.
I said, this is not gonna stick. And it wasn't just on one Black woman. It couldn't stick because we are such a beautiful group of people from inside to out. In the home. She rose in the home. We keep it together. We make the ends meet and send the kids to college when we don't even know how we're gonna have lunch for the day.
But the kids are fed.
Many of us were not born with silver spoons in our mouths. From the time we came to this nation in chains, we've had to be strong. And this is a part that people don't want to embrace and understand. We are haunted still by the legacy, the ugliness of slavery. I'm not talking about Woman King, but that's something for us to talk about too at some point. But when we were brought here, first of all, when they decided which woman they were going to take from motherland Africa, whatever part, West Africa, wherever we came from, we stood. And those who were determining whether we were going to make it on that ship looked at our breasts first to see if we were spoiled. If our breasts sagged, it looked like we had already had children. So those who were perky made the voyage. Then when we got here, if we survived the voyage, and the bottom of those ships chained, if we weren't thrown overboard for the sharks to get, because slave trade changed the shark pattern. Did you know that? Because people were thrown overboard. Let's talk about that. This isn't myth, conjecture, this is fact. So if we made it to this land here, Jamestown or wherever, if we made it here, once we went to the plantation, we were pretty much by ourselves because they took our men from us. And a man couldn't jump up at the massa or the slave handler to defend us. We've been standing and defending ourselves for a long time, for centuries. And people don't understand that truth. So that's why I celebrate us, because in spite of, we still rise. That was a long answer, but
It was a necessary answer. You have some stuff to get off your chest. You have to read the book for the rest of it.
I mean, I feel it. I mean,
We all feel it. We all
you are
feel it.
here because this book, it's long overdue. And you are here because there's a connection. You are here because you feel the connection. And I love talking to diverse groups because this is something for all of us, for allies, for people who are in this community, men, women, any community. Because again, we celebrate everyone. It's time for us to stop and say, take a beat.
And celebrate ourselves.
Celebrate ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Take a beat.
Let's talk a little bit about breaking glass ceilings. You talk about it in the book in many different ways. You, as one of the only Black women in the room, talking about race. I know that when you broke those glass ceilings, that you were hit with shards of glass. When we talk about, in the book, you talk about Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, Vice President Kamala Harris. And although we are so proud of those women and so many of the other amazing women, even some in this room who break glass ceilings, we know we can do that. But what we don't talk enough about is what that does to us. In this book, you share so many moments. You just talked about some of them, being called names, being told to sit down. And so what I want to ask, instead of you rehashing the trauma of those experiences, in the book you also talk about our struggle with self-doubt and self-determination. So talk to us about the correlation between those shards of glass and how it then causes us to question ourselves.
I've got two, and you read the stories. I've got two stories. I hate to keep talking about my sorority sisters, but Keisha Lance Bottoms, former mayor of Atlanta. I just left it. Did I leave Atlanta yesterday? I don't know as the days are going. I was just in Atlanta. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, I was there with,
We'll go with yesterday.
Bishop Jamal Bryant at Newport. No, he's a good guy. He's my brother from Baltimore. Don't talk about my peeps now.
Not too much on Baltimore, y'all. Not too much on Baltimore.
We couldn't live in Wilmington. I'm sorry, we couldn't, but because Wilmington is so wonderful, I wish we could have. But anyway, Keisha Lance Bottoms, she said something, and this stayed with her enough to tell me for the book. We were in Martha's Vineyard on her front porch. The skunk was moving around in the hydrangeas. We kept smelling it. She was squirting perfume all around, and I was like, oh, Lord. But in the midst of those moments, she said, I was asking her, questions for the book. Here she is, still, at that time, she was the mayor of Atlanta, largest airport, one of the largest economies in this nation. She had a city that was home to a number of Fortune 500 company headquarters. She had saved the attempt to run for president. She saved the attempt for Joe Biden to run for president. Remember that? Mm-hmm. She saved him. And she's saving him again because she's back at the White House. But while she was mayor, someone came to her and said, when she gave some kind of very lofty answer to something or decision, someone came to her and said, who told you that?
Excuse me?
Here she had been a judge, and on and on and on. She couldn't think for herself. I think about those are shards. Mm-hmm. It cut her enough for her to remember that to tell me. More shards. Our history. Valerie Jarrett, dear friend of mine, very close proximity to the forever president and first lady. Very close. I mean, real close. So this woman is in spaces and places I could never imagine. She was running the world, girls, you know, at one time. For those of you who don't know, it's Beyonce. Yes. She was in the president's ear, and he trusted her. She has shards coming at her, glass shards or marble shards, whatever you want to call it. This woman has risen to the highest of heights and said she has imposter syndrome sometimes. Being at the table to make decisions for the world, and she felt like, do I belong? Who am I? Yeah. Why? Because of the ghosts and the haunts of her past. And you know, and it's so interesting, and I'm going to veer off for a minute. My late great friend, who I miss dearly, late Congressman Elijah Cummings from Baltimore, he said the same thing. He said, growing up in Baltimore, in a very segregated city where his mother would take him to the segregated pools to integrate, and then they would have to go in the back of stores to get clothes. He always felt like he was less than. Showing up, how do we show up? And for Black women, it's even harder because this is still a male-dominated society. And I think about what the late, great Shirley Chisholm said, and I talk about this in the book. Yeah, she said being Black and a woman is a double whammy. And then, you know, there are others who call it misogynoir, Black and a woman, again. But even as we rise, we still have these feelings. But the great thing about it is we are now convening tables. You know, in 1972, Shirley Chisholm was saying, if you don't have a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. While we have the folding chair always on our backs to give everyone a seat, we now convening the tables. We are convening the tables.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all like to have fun in the midst of seriousness.
We gotta laugh.
You gotta laugh to keep from crying. Because there are many nights my pillow is so stained. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure many of you had stains on your pillows. Mm-hmm. That's why I write this book. You are seen, you are heard, I feel your pain. And this book is so long overdue. Yeah. You know, our numbers are crazy. The publisher was like, girl, do you know what you're doing? I was like, no, what am I doing? I'm sitting home, you know, your numbers. And so we're praying to God that this becomes a New York Times bestseller because
so go buy more books.
Numbers.
Buy one for your mom, your sister, your daughter. Buy more books.
Christmas present.
Christmas
Buy
present.
a few.
Thanksgiving present.
Thanksgiving. Yes, you never show up at the Thanksgiving table without a gift. Do this instead of the jam. Less calories. Less
calories. She dropping all kinds of gems, y'all.
It's not a gimmick. It's real.
I want to talk a little bit about a couple of other chapters in the book. You have a chapter on erasure, and you have a chapter on our young Black girls. And so I want to talk a little bit about the contrast of Black women being erased, but at the same time over-policed. And so in the book, you talk about our erasure from the anti-rape movement. You talk about our erasure from the Black Panther movement, our erasure from the labor movement. I didn't even know about that one, April. I'm not even gonna hold you. I didn't even know about our start in the labor movement. And so today we can see our erasure when, as much as we talk about George Floyd, people forget to mention Breonna Taylor.
Wait a minute. Not just Breonna Taylor. Can you say Sandra Bland?
Sandra Bland.
We forget so many names, right?
So many names.
So many names.
And you talk about the double whammy, and this one's a little personal for me. You talk about the double whammy of being a Black woman, but there's a triple whammy when you are a queer Black woman. And we have the erasure of Brittney Griner, who just lost her appeal yesterday.
Yeah, Corinne Jean-Pierre. I think about Corinne when you say that. It's a lot, and Brittney Griner, unfortunately, I'm going to speak to that for 1 second. Brittney Griner, unfortunately, is now someone that Putin really realizes is more powerful. Yes.
He knows what he's
He
doing.
knows.
He knows
The
what
White
he's
House
doing.
tried to keep her name. They didn't want to talk about her at the beginning because they didn't want Putin to believe that she was such a big star that he could use as a pawn. It's too late now. He knows her power.
He knows her
power.
And I also think about our erasure when we talk about Black maternal health care, right?
That. I give a personal story.
Yes, you do.
I give a personal story. Like I say, I'm many of you, and I'm sure you all have stories. When I had my first child 20 years ago, my oldest is 20, I was working at the White House, married. I was very swollen. When I gave birth, I couldn't breathe. They kept saying, oh, your diaphragm has just been pushed up. Yeah, right.
Just been pushed up.
Just been pushed up because of the baby. I had double pneumonia and almost died. I couldn't breathe. I kept saying, I can't breathe. And it took a nurse. I said, my back is hurting. And they say that's one of the things when you have pneumonia, your back hurts. And I said, my back hurts. And the nurse came. If it hadn't been for that nurse rubbing my back, I would not be here today. Because she said, your breathing is not right. She listened. And I am so much of an advocate for myself right now because of that and other things. I mean, I've had some other issues recently, and I'm like, the doctor's like, oh, well, that was the second time. Let's create a paper trail. I said, no, you're not getting a third time. I'm done. Bye. I'm serious. We have to advocate for ourselves because as Black women, and there are so many studies, we talk about it here, we are such workhorses and we don't complain and we keep doing. The thought is that, oh, you don't hurt. You don't have the same kind of pain. We hurt, we cry, we bleed. We're vulnerable. And that, and then what else? There was some, you went through the Erasure, Erasure. Black Panther Party. Okay. Black Panther Party was once vilified, now so celebrated, okay? Black Panther Party and the 10-point plan, guess what? Two things that we can talk about right now that's happening to the day that they were pushing for. Feeding our babies breakfast, right? What's the government doing? Funding that right now, right? Yeah. What about health clinics? They were pushing that. Frederica Newton, the widow of Huey P. Newton, is a friend of mine. She's in the book. And I said, what were these actions for? She said it was love for the community. And with that, they were vilified because, all the thought of the intimidation, et cetera. Well, guess what? When you think of the Black Panther Party, you better think of women. Because 70% of the Black Panther Party, 70%, the majority were us, women. Women who wanted a better day for the community that they loved. There is a passage in the book from Cornell Belcher, Democratic pollster for Brilliant Corners. He said that when women show up and serve, because that's what we do, we are servants. We are servant leaders in the home, everywhere we go. We are servant leaders. In the church house, workhouse, playhouse, everywhere we're servant leaders. When women show up, it's for love of the community, to enrich the community, to help the community, contrasted by our male counterparts. Power. Ego.
So, it's so much. It's a lot. But at the same time that we are being erased, we also find ourselves over-policed. So in the book, you talk about
adultification.
The adultification of Black girls.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have any members of NCBW in here, but hey, y'all. the National Coalition of 100 Black Women did a study on the state of our Black girls in
Amen.
Delaware. So go read that study. But and you talk about it in the book.
get up at some point and tell me about your study, but go ahead.
So, you talk about it in the book, Black girls being overrepresented and over-disciplined in our schools.
Adultification.
You talk about our heroes, Eartha Kitt, Josephine Baker, Angela Davis being watched by the federal government as if they were terrorists. I would add and submit to the list Assata Shakur, Aretha
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes, yes.
And so talk to us
Frederica
about
Newton.
Frederica Newton. Quick plug for, shout out to Dr. Newton for those. Talk to us about that. How are we simultaneously erased and over-policed at the very same time?
We rise up, we're diminished, we're discredited. That's the way we're erased. When you speak, something's wrong with you. Oh, you're up 1 minute in the news and then you're gone. You're like, where did they go? The erasure. The conscious efforts to remove us from a plan to rise, to make us rise up, to put us in a better space, to put us in a space where we are not in a community that still has the highest numbers of negatives in almost every category. That's our community. In 2022, in the midst of COVID, and it's getting worse. When Black women were speaking about Flint and the water not safe to drink, Flint still has problems as we're talking about Jacksonville. Well, Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, everything is a ville. We have to remember that. And when we get up, we talk about our lives mattering. They do matter. All lives matter. But when we are targeted, profiled, and killed, our lives matter. And when our lives matter, the women who lead the movement, something's wrong. The basis of that is real, no matter what is going on over there. And it's a way to dismantle the movement, erase the whole, concept, by diminishing and removing the people who promoted it. With our little Black girls, we talk about adultification in this book. There is something going on in this land that our babies are being punished, overly punished, more than the mainstream in schools. And our Black girls are getting it multiple times more. Our baby girls. You give them punishment, severe punishment, nothing holistic. How are they going to come out of that? The trauma from that, instead of turning them around, you're expelled, you're suspended. Little baby girls. Little baby girls, our cute little grandbabies. Come here, baby. Come here, sugar. Let me touch your cheek. Those are the same ones that are being kicked out of school. Where's the holistic approach? Angela Davis talks about that. The over-policing, the over-incarceration, the over-punishing, instead of a holistic approach for our babies, because these young babies are going to be our women and our leaders tomorrow. And if you're doing this now and starting that cycle now, what happens in the next 10 years? We, at this moment, in our community, have the higher levels of education in our community. What happens if we continue to do this to our little girls? We're erasing them. Because right now, Black women are educated in large numbers.
A plug for that student debt cancellation.
But what happens when you continue to do this? There's a cycle. And when you look in a couple of years, you wonder why we're not in college or we're having issues. What happens? What happens?
We save them.
We got to save them now.
Mm-hmm.
We got to start now. We got to start now. And I'm a big proponent of, if you don't have a young person in your life, find one.
Find one.
Find one. Have a conversation. I mean, and I know things are different now. I know it's, you say something and you get cussed out.
Take it. We don't all cuss somebody all the time or two. Take it. April, no, you know. No. But no, but Maybe
I'm
with-
serious.
maybe
But
without
did you
the
see,
curse
but
word.
no, but did you, there was a recent TikTok video on a bus. Did you see the woman trying to tell the kids stop cursing or something? And then she got beat. It was in DC. And I said, what happened? We need to find safe spaces and places for us to reach our children to help turn them around, because we are on a downward spiral. We have to give, part of the problem is a lot of our young kids don't see a sense of hope. Well, I can't be that. I'm not gonna be that. Let me tell you something. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, a place that has failure built into our very existence, and that is from Bishop Walter Scott Thomas. He says there's no other city in America where the residents have the word failure built into their very existence. I am from Baltimore, Maryland. Blue-collar parents, working, well, my father was blue-collar, my mother was white-collar, but working-class parents who fought hard for me, who fought for my life. And by the grace of God, 5 presidents called me by name. And the
5.
longest serving black female White House correspondent. If I can be saved and written 4 books, let me tell you something.
4
I would have
books.
never thought 4. No, this ain't the only one, honey. There's 4.
I know,
This
4
is
books. 4 books.
4. And it's coming out, I think, this week. You know the movie Till? Please go see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with the movie Till. Yes, child, sit back. The podcast, the marketing piece for the movie Till. I did the podcast with Orion Pictures and Whoopi Goldberg, all of them. They were like, April, do it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'm saying. It took prayer from my grandmother and my mama. It took a steady hand. It took education. It took people to continue to be in my life, to pour into me. Don't take a child's hand and say, okay, baby, it's good. Don't walk away. Stay with them. I am that young girl. I didn't get into trouble, but I could have.
Mm-hmm. Very easily.
I was that kid who had to come in when the lights went on. Mm-hmm. Ma, why are they out there playing? I said, get in here.
Get in
Don't
this
you?
house.
Right, get in the house.
Read a book.
Yeah, read a book. Yeah, that's true.
April. So I have no idea what time it is. I'm gonna try to sneak in 1 or 2 more questions, and then we're gonna try to get some audience participation.
Get ready
So,
for the questions,
get y'all
guys.
questions ready.
Get ready. We're gonna do the persons who read the book first. Yes.
April, let me ask you this, and I mean this question sincerely, okay?
Yes.
This book is beautiful.
Thank you.
This book also highlights our trauma. It highlights some of the things that have been done to us for so long. It points them out so starkly.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I did. This book, you talk about that women, Black women, we are finally now getting our just dues.
Yes.
We are finally now being asked to come into the room, being sought out to come into the room.
It's long overdue.
It's long overdue, but let me ask you a question. although we know we can save the world, we have every skill set, every resource.
We have the pedigree.
We have the pedigree to save the world. But why should we save the world? And I'm asking this because you point to Mayor Lance Bottoms, who should have been offered multiple positions. But as you point out, they finally offered her administrator of the SBA, and she walked away. She didn't want to sit at the kiddie table. She didn't want to sit at the kiddie table. You also talk about Nicole Hannah-Jones in this book.
Yeah, my dear friend.
You talk about her at Martha's Vineyard, and next time I come to Martha's, I'm coming to find you, okay? But
we have Nicole. But see, and that's when I say take a beat.
Take a beat.
I work so hard during the year. That's my peace.
That's your peace.
Hanging out in the water, in the inkwell with the black women. How many of you polar boys? You're a polar bear. Polar bears. Just in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, doing water aerobics with black women from all around the world. It is a spiritual ascent of a nature that you wouldn't believe. And then to come out of that water, ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us. And that's the piece. We do it because we have to and we know how to. Our communities are still suffering and we are the backbone. We need to be heralded because if it wasn't for black women, I'm telling you, these cities would be a hot mess.
Burning down.
Hot, stinky, steaming mess.
And so yes.
They're the ones in the city council meeting. I want my this. I want my that. You know, in the PTA meeting, look, you got to change this. Damn. Take a look at these meetings and who shows up in these rooms. Take a look at who's on the front line marching when things happen.
Us.
Right. We defied COVID and went out for George Floyd. We didn't have a vaccine at the time. We were out there with our babies and our masks. And you know what? When everybody else was doing all the other crazy stuff at the state capitals and all other places around the nation, we were hearing about COVID upticks. During those marches and George Floyd with the mask, we did not hear because of the sensibility of that black mother. That black woman was out there, okay, we're going to march, but we're going to do it right. We're going to be peaceful, and we're going to wear our masks. Because I asked Reverend Al, I said, so wait a minute, y'all doing this in the midst of COVID. They didn't hear the spikes, but everybody else at the other government houses, and remember in Michigan, the State House in Michigan, how they,
Just tried to kidnap a whole government.
Well, right, they tried to kidnap the governor, for real. But they went out there with no masks and spikes in COVID. They couldn't even keep the hospitals. The hospitals were overflowing because of the crazy antics. But when we went to march to say we mattered, with our masks on, you didn't hear about the sensibility. Again, black women will save the world. And Anthem.
I'm not going to be selfish and ask a million more questions. You have audience members that want to ask questions, and I know you want to get to people who read the book. I also want to give a quick plug for our baby girl over there. We have our young reporter, and so if you have a question, I just want to put a plug out for her as well.
Okay. All right. So the microphone, we've got the male Oprah walking around.
Okay, so we do have time for about 3 or 4 questions. So just raise your hand and I'll come to you.
I want to get through as many as we can.
Say Donahue, not Oprah. The Black Donahue.
Okay, the Black Donahue. But I want to get to as many questions as we can because I am so honored that you would show up and buy the book. And I came here to talk to you and hear you. So I'm serious about that. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm not going to say no limit, but let's go.
First
wait a
question.
minute. You read the book, right? Yes, come on. I got to hold true to my word. I got to hold true to my word.
First, let me say thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you
said
for having
something,
me.
Black
Oh, boy, she's
women
looking at the phone.
will save the world, honor those on the front lines of democracy. But what I really wanted you to say,
Or what you wanted me to say.
what
you
I
want me
wanted you to say, or to go back to and explain to them why it's so important, not only about the women on the front lines of democracy, but the women who came before us.
The women who came before us, they knocked down doors. I mean, let's talk about the women who came before us. Madam C.J. Walker wasn't just about hair. She was teaching about politics, having these women in her kitchen as they were part of her billionaire empire, or her commas and zero empire. She was teaching them also how to fight for us, lynching issues, you know? She was teaching us how to take care of our self-care for our hair, be economically empowered. She built wealth, as well as teaching them how to fight for us collectively. Ida B. Wells, civil rights, and a journalist. Again, issues of anti-lynching. Let's go back even further. Harriet Tubman, Grandma Moses, and she's one of the first women I ever learned about. She defied the odds at a time when she took the profit off of plantations to go back for us. We are the fruit. Many of us are the fruit of her labor. Many of us wouldn't be here if it were not for her. There's so many Black women we could talk about. Mamie Till, 67 years after Emmett Till's murder, where they're still shooting bullets in the sign next to the waterway that he was pulled from, his body was pulled from. She fought for justice. The Emmett Till lynching was one of the sparks of the civil rights movement. In her pain, this Black woman defied tradition, showing her bloated son, her maimed son, her beaten son, her tortured son in a casket, so the world could see what the racists in Mississippi did to her son. A comfortable Black woman in Chicago, in the midst of her dis-ease, sparked a movement to show what we had been just talking about, you know? She put a picture and a face and a name to our deadly pain in the South. A Black woman. I'm gonna go current day, whether you like him or not. Barack Obama would not be president of these United States. He would not have been president. And I've said this, so this isn't nothing new. And I said it to them. If it weren't for two Black women, one by the name of Valerie Jarrett and the other by the name of Michelle Obama. The power of a Black woman's connections network took this man with an obscure name, some ears, and a bop that you cannot mistake, to the highest office in the land. And we've never seen that before. power of Black women. It's just a few. Just a few. Just a few. And look, Michelle Obama, who was she? She was South Side. Real South Side. Really, real South Side. No silver spoon, but believed in herself when her teachers told her she couldn't. And this chick from the South Side got a little education, met Valerie Jarrett, started working with her. And look, he found a cute little guy. And he became the president of the United States of America, the first Black president in this nation. The power of Black women. We are nurturers, we are supporters, we're networkers, we are everything. And if you don't take a beat to celebrate yourself or take a beat from the race, because we always moving, you're doing yourself a disservice. And for those of you in the church, Jesus even stepped away for a minute. See, sometimes you got to break it down to where people are. Meet them where they are. And you know what? What day is Sabbath? Sabbath, well, it depends upon what religion you're in, yes. But Sabbath is a day of what?
Rest.
There you go, I'm done. Okay.
Ms. Ryan, hi. Oops, right here, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go, hi.
My name's Claire Washington. I wanted to make one comment first and then ask a question. You talked about being in the midst of COVID. Sorry. And you talked about advocating for ourselves. And one thing I wanted to just reinforce, besides advocating for ourselves, have somebody in the room with you during that healthcare session to hear what's being said, to help advocate for you also. Because once we hear that C word or whatever word we hear, we don't hear anything else. If we hear cancer, if we hear diabetes, if we hear asthma, after that we don't hear anything else.
You know what? That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
The other thing is that we are still in the midst of COVID. We still in a pandemic. We should all have our mask on. So
I'm in
please,
agreement, and I'm going to say this. Okay, now you know you're going to get, it all depends upon where people are now.
Okay.
But the pandemic is over, but they're starting to see COVID cases again. COVID is not over, and we're now communing in the winter inside. Be careful. Just be careful, because I'm going to say this in support of you. I'm going to cut this tour short because, you know, people want me to go into December and January. I'm like, no.
Too cold.
I'm going to do what I got to do, put out the word. And we might be able to Zoom, you know, come together that way. But we got to be, no, I'm sick of Zoom, but we got to be smart with this. We've got to be smart with this. I had COVID in June. And I think I'm feeling the effects of long COVID now. So just take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. I'm up here without a mask on right now. I was downstairs. I'll let y'all kind of get to me, but I'm gonna put my mask back on in a minute. So yeah.
So one last interesting point in your book was about having a lonely path, but not being alone. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Many of us are in rarefied spaces, the only or one of a few, okay? I'm gonna give you an example, something that we just talked about. Who is the lead researcher for Moderna? Black woman, Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. How many people are in that same space? It was a protein on the screen before it became an actual living, breathing, life-saving vaccine that this Black woman led the research on and created. Lonely path. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Lonely path. In the book, I talked to Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago. Sisterhood in those rarefied spaces. And that's something I really want to talk about. Not many people can say, not many Black women can say they've been mayor of a major city. So all of them get together. Mayor Lightfoot, Cantrell, Bowser, when Keisha Lance Bottoms was there, her and others who were Black women mayors. And when you step into that space and you're an anomaly somewhat, or you're different, you're under attack in a lot of ways. You're celebrated and then the attacks come. So they realized that and they started coming together with a network amongst themselves. Sis, I'm going through this test. Oh, well, I got a testimony for you because I went through that, but here's how you got to do it. But we got your back. We need to start really coming together closer with one another and networking more because other communities do it. If you're in this space, find another sister, pull her in and talk about it so you're not alone. Some of us suffer in silence when we don't have to. Think about those things, the microaggressions on the job. And some of us with macroaggressions, we got to find like-minded people or someone who's been in that space to help us navigate that rocky road so we can come out on the other side, so we can go through it, not stay in it. Don't be alone because the rise is lonely, but find others, bring others in with you. The one thing that we have to do is bring another sister up. So,
Ms. Ryan, you mentioned it earlier when you talked about Ida B. Wells. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of supporting the Black press?
is that
Yeah.
It's me. That's my friend Andrea Gibbs. Hi.
Hey, April. The Black press, the news, whether it is books, whether it is movies, but without the Black press, there are so many things that we would not know.
Preach it.
When we see you in that press room and your thoughts are, I'm thinking about my community and I gotta go up here and ask these questions that, like you said, I'm gonna get talked about. Please talk about that because we're in a time now where you're seeing the press is dying, but I will say there is a lot of independent rising that have a focus, and now is the time to pay attention. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
So you know Andrea Gibbs, I was looking for you when I came in this room. I love you. I was looking for you. I couldn't see, I didn't have my glasses on. That's my friend over there. But we worked together for a long time, and I'm so proud of her. She's out here in Delaware in the press, informing the masses, and I appreciate you. So the Black press, I am a proud member of the Black press. I've been with the Black press for the last 25 years since I've been in the White House. Left a boutique news organization, and now with TheGrio. Please read TheGrio.com, please. Particularly the politics section, and find April Ryan's stories. But for so long, Ida B. Wells and others beat the drum about what was going on in Black America. Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne, the shoulders that I stand on, the Black women who were at the White House before me, decades before me, and Harry McAlpin, in the midst of some of the most uproarious racial times, 80 years ago and more, they tried to get in to ask questions about issues that pertain to us. We're told, if Harry McAlpin was told, if you step on my shoes, there will be a riot. So you cannot come into, we were pushed away. You know, Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne tried the best. Alice Dunnigan, Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne, thank you, Curtis. Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne tried their best to report under the worst circumstances. They had to sell items of jewelry to travel with the President of the United States to inform us about issues that pertain to us. When we tell you, we were talking about lynchings and police brutality a long time ago before we got that $1,000 thing in our hand. And now you see it. Sometimes you still don't believe it. But we've been telling you. It took the black press to put that picture of Emmett Till on that Jet magazine cover. 67 years later, now we got the first anti-lynching law in this nation entitled the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Law. But it all stemmed, it was a long time in coming, but it all stemmed from that picture in the black press. When Katrina happened, we were the first ones getting calls telling you, there are black people on roofs. We were telling you about what was happening in the Superdome and the Convention Center. Oh yeah, the places where you went to hang out at the Essence Festival. We were telling you that because you didn't want to believe it. But then the mainstream media got it. For the most part, the black media will tell you and has been telling you about the ills in the black community, but it takes a crescendo moment. It takes a crescendo moment for the mainstream media to report on it. Please support your black media. Because if it weren't for us, a lot of things that are going on in the community you wouldn't know. We are trusted, but you know, we are not supported like you the first thing you turn to. Not even that, when sometimes you turn to the one that you know is entertainment and it's not giving you news. You know what I'm talking about.
April, can you talk a little bit about the Kerner report as well as how that
Thank you,
with...
yes, okay. So I'm a member of the press, black press or press. No, I'm a member of the press, but come from black press. Because, you know, everybody, we just had Real Clear Politics, which is a conservative-leaning organization. They picked up our news, our KFF, TheGrio poll on voters leading into the midterm election. Yahoo does my stuff all the time. You know, a lot of my news makes a lot of news all the time. But when people tried to silence me or shut me down, one of the reasons why I stand is because I stand on the First Amendment, freedom of the press, and the Kerner Commission report. After Dr. King was killed, there was a lot of uprisings throughout the nation. LBJ wanted to find out, why are these uprisings happening? He pulled together an 11-member commission panel called the Kerner Report. We know separate and yet unequal. Now, towards the end of that report, it talks about the press. The press. It talks about black members of the press being accredited to go into the White House, the State House, City Hall, to ask questions about issues pertaining to the black community, to take down the temperature on some issues. Look up the Kerner Commission report if you don't know about it. But guess what? It's no more, because after LBJ, who was it? You lived it. Nixon. Thank you. Nixon moved away from it. But I stand on these two pillars, First Amendment and the Kerner Commission. I'm doing my job as a member of the press, but as a proud member of the Black press who's made a difference by asking questions about the Black farmers who are not getting money. You know, the numbers of Black farmers in this nation has dwindled so much so they cannot qualify or quantify, because now they're urban farmers mixed in. What we know as Black farmers that had land, sprawling land with fields, is dwindling to numbers that they can't count. And at the turn of the century, they said it was over like maybe 1 million Black farmers out here. Questions that impact Black America: water not safe to drink, policing, health issues, housing issues. We have an affordable housing shortage in this nation. We're 1.5 million units short for affordable housing in this nation.
1.5 million.
1.5 million. And that's from United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marsha Fudge. Yes, she's a Delta. Of course she's a Delta. One of the prior presidents of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, yes. You don't hear about this that much. And then let's talk about gasoline prices in this moment. Yeah, I know, right? Let's talk about gasoline prices in this moment. When the president was releasing the strategic oil reserves and the prices were supposed to go down, we didn't feel it as a collective. You know why? Because there was price gouging. Over there on that corner, it was $5 and some change. And on this corner, it was $4 and some change. And then back over here in mainstream America's community, it was the average price of $3. But the Black community never felt the cost cut. This is what the Black press tells you. We are no less than anyone. Actually, we stand above. So I think I hope I answered your question, Ms. Gibbs. Thank you.
Yes, and we'll drop the mic on that. A big round of applause for Ms. April Ryan. And if I could have everyone remain seated, Ms. Ryan will go towards the book signing area, and you may purchase your books here. If you already have your books, you may begin to form a line after we're over in the area by the reference part. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you for coming out. I so enjoyed you. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and please get the book. Thank you so much.